Hey everyone, I'm Jen. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. If you can't tell, I am a little excited about this video because I have teased about this video on my last couple videos. This is a recommendation video. I do want to say that this year I really wanted to bring more recommendation videos to my channel. I really enjoy watching them, and I wanted to not just do recommendation videos that I've seen before, but I also want to bring things that I haven't seen or that I'm just like interested. I don't know much about the trope, or I haven't read much about the trope, and so it's my way of diving into maybe a trope that I'm not very invested in or don't know much about, but also getting to bring recommendations to you as well, hopefully. And I wanted Rockstar Romance to be my first recommendation video because, well, for a couple different reasons. One, I haven't read a lot of Rockstar Romance. I believe like the first main one was The Words by Ashley Jade. Really love that. Still waiting on This is the Consequence, because we have the choice. Whatever one. I'm still waiting on that one to read the first one so I can read them simultaneously. But also, like, I feel, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if you feel either way about Rockstar Romance, but I feel like, I don't know, some people either really gravitate toward it or they stay away from it. So that's what I did. I wanted to immerse myself in this genre or trope, if you will. I wanted to read authors that I haven't read before. I wanted to read books that I haven't heard of even. And maybe that's because I wasn't, like, Rockstar Romance was not on my radar. That could be very well. But nonetheless, that is what I did. I have some notes here because I don't want to forget certain things. I think with the exception of one, no, all of these books are part of a series. So I wanted to give you the full breakdown of everything and just give you like a little synopsis of each. I also was debating on, when I was reading through these, not putting a few of these books in because of what rating I gave it, but I started thinking, Jen, we always say this, reading is subjective. Just because I am not a big fan of something that happens in a book does not mean that you might not really like it, or it might not irk you the way that it irked me. So every single Rockstar Romance book that I read is going to be in this video. You'll definitely have to let me know if you've read any of them, what you thought, if I maybe pique your interest to read some, and I obviously am going to tell you my favorites. We just need to jump into it. We need to jump into it. So today I am bringing you some Rockstar Romance recommendations. I hope that you will enjoy it. Let's go. My first Rockstar Romance recommendation for you is Falling for the Beat. This is by Brianna Lynn. It is actually the 5th book. I believe there's only 5 books right now, but it is the 5th book in the Heartbeats series. I do want to mention that I didn't feel like I was missing out on much not reading the first 4 books in the series, except that she does have like a lot of brothers, or a few brothers. There's a lot of people, and I believe that those people are the first 4 books, and those people and then end up having children. So there are a lot of names to remember, but it didn't take away from my experience of the book. It's just whenever she's around her family, there is a lot of people. But this is following Jesse and Chris. Chris is our rock star. He is pretty famous. There is a pretty decent age gap in this one. I can't remember how big of an age gap, but basically Chris finds out that he has a son. This son is 4 years old and comes to live with him, and he needs somebody to take care of his child, a nanny, if you will. And so that's where Jesse comes in. Now, even though there is this chemistry in this connection between them, Jesse has no desire to be in a relationship with a rock star. She's like been there, done that, but Chris kind of makes her second guess everything. You know what? Actually, I have it in my notes right here. There is a 13-year age gap between these two. I enjoyed this book. I liked the premise of the book, but I had some issues with this book that made me drop down some points. I ended up giving this one a 3.5 stars because, well, for a few different reasons. So there's this child who Jessie is supposed to be taking care of, and when they get together, and I do want to stop right here and say, when they finally get together, like that scene, it starts in the hot tub, it moves into the kitchen, and it is extremely hot. And like, it was awesome. Like, if you read this, you will never look at hot chocolate the same way again, because, I mean, that was hot. I will say that. However, after that, when the deed is done, and now it's just let's do it all over the place. They do it all over the place and all the time. It is very, I mean, it's like almost every chapter that they were having sex. So that kind of got a little monotonous for me after the first one or two times. I was just like, okay, I ended up skimming through a lot of the sex scenes. But also, I'm like, you're supposed to be taking care of this 4-year-old. When do you have time to do that in the middle of the day? Why at least have like a monitor or something? I don't understand. So like that just there was a disconnect for me. Like, where's this child at? What is it? Didn't seem feasible to me. And honestly, with the spicy sex scenes, I was skimming through a lot of it throughout the end of the book, especially just to get to more of the plot and to complete the story. It was good. It was sexy. It was entertaining. It was very well written, but I was annoyed by a few things, and also the third act conflict really annoyed me as well. But if you could look past all those, or if you were really into the sex, then I think that you would really enjoy this. And like I said, the plot was really good. On to my next recommendation, we have Love to Hate Her by Jay Simon. You guys, this one, like Falling for the Beat, where I had problems with like the sex and the child and some other things, where that one fell short, this one exceeded every expectation, because there is a child in this one as well. And quite honestly, I absolutely fell in love with this baby girl. I really did. Okay, so this is part of the Wild Love series. There are 4 books in the series so far. This is book number 2. So this is between Viola and Jasper. This one really piqued my interest because Jasper has a twin, and Viola used to date that twin. And now it's a romance between her and the other twin. So this was, first off, I have to tell you, the angst in this one, crazy, but crazy good. Slow burn, like just when you think that these two are going to get together and it's going to culminate in just fireworks, you get a little bit and it's taken away, but it's so good. Like this, it's so good. I mean, really, like you think that they're about to get together and then you're completely sucker punched. She brings that shit back and you gotta wait. The banter between these two, I loved everything. So Viola is working on her thesis, I believe, for like musical therapy, and she's wanted to use that musical therapy for children, especially because of the things that have happened in her past. But I did briefly mention that she used to date Jasper's twin brother. So here's the thing: he's not like the best boyfriend. Him and Viola had been together for a really long time when the band essentially makes it, and so she knows that like he's doing the rock star thing and not being completely faithful to her. And so when she shows up to a show that they're doing and catches him being unfaithful, she breaks up with him. Well, that night Jasper lets her in on a little secret that just completely floors Viola, and when she walks away with that secret. And now we're years later, she hasn't spoken to anybody with the band in years, and Jasper is looking for somebody to help with his daughter Adeline, who is I mean, quite honestly, like at this moment, I can't think of another child in a book that has just been, who has just captured my heart. Miss Adeline is so freaking cute. She is on the spectrum for autism, and that plays a big part of why Viola is there to take care of Adeline, because Jasper, unlike with the other book, Jasper wants Adeline to be with him at all times. So he needs somebody who is going to take care of Adeline and keep her away from the spotlight. But while they're traveling, he wants her to travel with him. She is a big part of this book, but they represented her so well. I think they represented children on the spectrum very well. If Viola went to watch the band play, then we knew that somebody was taking care of Adeline, because it specifically said somebody so-and-so was taking care of Adeline, which I really appreciated. I didn't have to wonder, where's your kid? Who's taking care of this kid that you're supposed to be taking care of? That is one thing that just, it drives me up a wall. Sometimes in books, like we'll have a child and then you're just wondering, where is this child at? Especially when they're young children who cannot take care of themselves. Like, where is this child? if somebody is taking care of this child, how are we as a reader supposed to know that if you're not telling us that? So it was well done. I didn't have to worry about that, so I could focus on the romance part of it. But I want to say, like, I feel like she made this book for me. The romance was that much better because of it. The banter, the hate to love, and I put hate to love in quotations because it is like, you don't hate somebody that much if you don't have, like, that ain't a hate to love. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is like what you feel like is an unrequited love. It is, I'm trying to hate you because I love you so much and I want you so much, and it's just, you can feel the passion between these two, even when they're fighting, when they're semi insulting each other, when it's just, you can feel the tension between these two when they walk into a room. But also the way that Jasper just really melts for Viola and the way that she treats his daughter, because Adeline is such a big part of this book, and it's Viola's job essentially, and to take care of her, and there's a reason why that he doesn't want her in the spotlight. It's just done so well, the way that Viola could recognize what Adeline needed or how to connect with her and then build on that connection. I just really loved watching that as well. You're watching the connection between these two, but then you're also watching this slow burn, angsty connection between Jasper and Viola, because there's always been a connection between these two, but Jasper, like, has his own insecurities and his own demons, and just to watch these two, it was amazing. Like, I I obviously gave this one 5 stars. Definitely recommend this one. Really enjoyed this author. I've actually been looking at a few other books besides this series that I wanted to read from this author as well. So definitely something I recommend. All right, on to my next recommendation. This is Derail by Casey Shea. There is 4 books in this series. It's called the Off Track Records series. This is book number 2. Again, I did not feel like I was coming into anything and missing something. I wasn't so invested with the other bandmates as much as, let's say, this last one, Love to Hate Her, so, or another one that I'm going to be talking about in a few minutes. This is between Jess and Sean. Jess's boyfriend has just been chosen to replace a drummer in a huge rock band. So this rock band has already been formed. They're hugely popular, and something happens with their drummer at the very beginning of the story. They need a new drummer, and that's where her boyfriend comes in. He is extremely talented, but there are some demons that you definitely pick up on very quickly. So here is the first problem that I had with this book. This isn't making of the band. This band is very much established when her boyfriend and her come into this. So while the bandmates are essentially made to live in this huge mansion, I didn't understand. They all have money. They all can live on their own, but they're living in one big mansion. So that being said, Jess and her boyfriend move into the house, and they are right across the hall from Sean, who is, honestly, I can't remember. I think he's like the lead singer, I think, or the lead guitarist. I can't remember. But anyway, very quickly, Jess's boyfriend, who I cannot remember the name of, and really, honestly, like, doesn't matter. He cannot hide the fact that he is verbally, mentally, and then eventually physically abusive to Jess. Sean wants nothing more than to be with Jess. It's basically like lust and then love at first sight. Therein lies my second problem with this book. I never really understood the connection between these two, how he was so completely invested with her and in her so quickly. I didn't understand. Like, I didn't get the connection between these two, where that came from. We didn't really see much in the way of me seeing them build that. Honestly, to me, it was more of like somebody's being nice to me. She's very much abused, especially mentally. This, I will say, the author, I feel like, did an amazing job at depicting domestic violence, especially because it's not always just physical. A lot of times, and I think most of the time, it is very much mental as well. It's very much emotional. The mental abuse that you suffer lasts sometimes a lot longer than the physical abuse. I also really liked the fact that that Jess was able to find herself a little bit towards the end of the book, as far as not completely jumping into a relationship with John. There were just certain things that I just had problems with. I feel like there could have been more in the midst of the actual Rockstar part of it. I feel like that was almost not even secondary part of the book. So for me, like, it just didn't seem like a Rockstar romance. For that reason, I only gave this a 3 stars, but again, I really like certain parts of it. So now let's move on to my next recommendation, which is the first book in the Breakneck series. So far, there are 3 books. This is called Sky Full of Stars. This is by Chris Riley. And I'm going to go ahead and say, like, this book and Love to Hate Her, these were my top books for sure. This one I definitely wanted to continue on with the series. Like, I wanted to just jump right in to our next character. So good. I'm also going to go ahead and tell you that I gave it a 5 stars. I thought it was, for me, like, it was just really original. I thought this was really original. I thought the meet cute between these two was off the charts. I really liked how they got to know each other first. There is a little bit of slow burn. There is one of the things that I hate is miscommunication, but I feel like if an author can do miscommunication this way, I'm okay with that. There really isn't a third act conflict. If anything, it's like a first act conflict, and again, the way it's done is buttoned up pretty quickly, and I really enjoyed that. I really did. This is between Adam and Jenna. Adam actually goes by, he's known in the band as another name, but his name is Adam. So there is that, and I guess that could be construed as the miscommunication, but I love the connection. I absolutely loved how Jenna had her own thing going. She has a great job. She is her own woman. She does her own things on the side, and I really liked how, like I said, they're meet cute, but then Adam pursued her. But I think, like, what I loved most was how their relationship started. So they meet each other at a club. Jenna is there with her boyfriend, and she catches him doing something naughty and is like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. Like, you came here with me. Like, seriously? Men are stupid, by the way. So she's basically like, no, one strike, you're out of here. And she's on her way to leave. Some shit happens, and Adam ends up grabbing her and taking her to the VIP area to get away from the conflict, and they spark up a conversation. But what Adam really likes is that the fact that Jenna has no idea who he is. She doesn't recognize him. So that intrigues him because he's always getting recognized as a rock star, and the fact that this chick doesn't know him, he gives her his real name and then gives her his phone number. And so that's how the relationship starts. They start texting each other, and they start to get to know each other, and still Jenna has no idea who he is. So if you can imagine or start to think, like, you can kind of see where some conflict will come into play. But like I said, it's kind of squashed pretty quickly, and Jenna is such a strong heroine that she handles it right. And then any conflict that could come up or arise or be just really fucking annoying in the future of the book, because Jenna is such a strong heroine, it's just done so well. And so because of that, you really get to see their connection, and you really understand and believe their connection. I like how Adam can be himself with Jenna. She allows him to be who he is. He allows her to be who she is. She's not like, oh, you're a rich rock star, take care of me. I want to do my own thing. And then let's come together. You do your own thing. And I enjoyed that. And then we get to the spice. Because you've felt and seen and just really immersed yourself in their connection, it's just amazing. I cannot wait to move forward and see what happens with the rest of the bandmates. I just really wanted to, like, jump right in to the next book immediately, but I still had a couple books to read for this video, and then I have more books to read after that, so I will be circling back around for sure. Okay, so next up we have the Cake series. This is by Jay Bengston. The first book in the series is called Cake. Now, There are 7 books in this series. This is the first book. I do absolutely recommend for this one that you do start with the first book. I think the other recommendations I have for you here, you don't necessarily really need to read the first book. This one, I definitely think that you should, because of some extenuating content in this book. For this, I definitely wouldn't mind continuing on at some point. The subsequent books are our main character Jake's family and how they deal with certain things that happen previously from this book. But I think that this is the only ROCKSTAR Romance, so that is why I chose this one. This follows Casey and Jake. Right off the bat, I know I haven't read a ton of ROCKSTAR Romance, but what I have read, this is unlike any other ROCKSTAR Romance that I've read, in the fact that previous to this book and what happens in this book, Jake was kidnapped and tortured by a very sick individual when he was, I want to say it was like 12 or 13. Obviously, he survived this deranged individual, but there are some lingering effects from that, and that also extends to his family, which is why I believe that there are 7 books in this, because his family dealt with it in different ways as well. But we are talking about Mr. Jake here, who gets home and was always really into music before he got kidnapped, and he was a very lively individual. His personality obviously was altered a little bit after the kidnapping, but he still used music as therapy, and he became quite famous as a rock star. And that's how Casey meets him, because Jake's older brother is getting married and Jake is in the wedding. Casey is a friend of the older brother's fiance. She is in the wedding and they get paired together. And even though he's a megastar, Casey has just this really fun personality. She's a very I would say, like, she says what's on her mind, and she's like, sometimes she doesn't have a filter, and that takes Jake back for a second, because he's not used to, especially women, treating him like that, where, you know, there is a connection between these two, don't get me wrong, and she definitely knows who he is, but she is the first person to make Jake feel more of like his old self in a very long time. And so they spark up a really like a whirlwind romance in the 2 days that they're there for the wedding. And so because they've built this connection in this 2 days, they want to see where that progresses and see if their relationship can progress past just meeting each other. So they start talking and video chatting while he's back on tour, and then it's going so well that he decides to invite her to tour with him in Europe over the summer. And Casey, of course, jumped at the opportunity to do that. I mean, who the hell wouldn't? But in doing so, she's with him all the time, and so she gets to see the that altered part of Jake, and it's how she helps him through that and wants to be a part of his life. And I just thought it was a really beautiful story. I really loved watching how Casey helped Jake see who he was prior, and to allow him to be that playful person again, and also to help him through the horrors that he never really dealt with after the kidnapping. I ended up giving this one a 4 stars, and if I continue on, I of course will let you know. And now we are here to the last recommendation that I have for you today. It is the first book in the Cold Neptune series by Karen Crompton, an author that I said that I wanted to read this year, and here it is. There are, I believe, 4 books in this series. I definitely want to continue on with this series, especially there are a couple of the bandmates that I'm really interested in, so I would definitely want to continue on. I'll go ahead and tell you, I gave this one a 4 stars. This one follows Reed and Brindley. This is a super slow burn, and as far as spice goes, I feel like it's on the lower end of the spectrum of these recommendations anyway. So what is this about? This one definitely piqued my interest, because Reed, our main character, is getting essentially sued by Brinley, our female heroine, because she believes that he has stolen his lyrics, and he is known for writing his own lyrics. So this could totally just shatter him and shatter like everything that he's built, the band that he's built, everything. It could just completely tear everything apart if this comes out. And so he is just out to basically destroy her because you're trying to destroy me. Like how could you say that I did this? I never would have done this. How could you do this to me? And where are you coming from? And so he's basically like, I'm going to get close to you so I can destroy you. But there is definitely this hate to love connection between them. It's like the sparks are definitely there between them. All right, so I think I might do something a little bit different with this one. Like, why did I give it a 4 stars? One, Reed apparently has this really, really kinky side, and I would have liked to have seen more of that. Like, I would have liked to have seen maybe a scene from that, explored that a little bit, because that was hot. And I didn't get enough of that. I really feel like we didn't get, like, any of that. So I would have liked to have seen that. And then also, I had a really hard time liking Brinley for a really long time in this book. Like, I absolutely fell in love with Reed. I loved him from the start, but with Brinley, not so much. Like, she annoyed me. I didn't understand where she was coming from, and like, I know that you're not supposed to understand it until you're supposed to understand it, but I just was like, the audacity of this chick. Like really, you're an unknown person. How? Like, I don't get it. How? She annoyed me a little bit. And like, I was really trying to like her, especially in the beginning. I just found her completely obnoxious. But I loved Reed. That being said, the twist of this book, I didn't see it coming. I wasn't looking to figure that out. I just wanted to like enjoy the story. So I didn't see it coming, and I liked it. And I also liked the chemistry and the relationship between these two. I liked to see how that animosity turned into a little bit of like, which turned into a little bit of respect, which then turned into love. Really enjoyed Reed's mom in this. She is just the cutest. Absolutely loved her. That's why I gave it a 4 stars, because there are just a few things that I would have liked to have seen, and then also just my not really liking. It wasn't like, I feel like you're supposed to like her, and she was just a little obnoxious for me. So that's why I gave this one a 4 stars. But overall, like, I really enjoyed it. Definitely want to continue on with the series, especially with the other bandmates. And there you go, guys. Those are my 6 Rockstar Romance recommendations. I need to know, have you read any of these? I also need to know, will you read any of these if you haven't? If you haven't already guessed it, my favorites were Love to Hate Her by Jay Simon. I mean, oh my gosh, I need more. I have to find out what happens with Jasper's twin brother, and he has a really cute relationship with Adeline as well. I mean, obviously that's her uncle, so of course we're going to see a little bit more of her, and I especially need more from the Chris Riley, The Sky Full of Stars. There's a connection in the first book that you see that's going to be, I think, the second book, and I need to know more about that. Like, it was just, I want to read more from these authors. Like, these 2 authors definitely sparked something in me. And then, of course, Karen Crompton. I know that, so she's got the Rockstar Romance, but then she also has other books as well, which I'm really interested in reading. If there is a certain genre or trope that you're interested in, or that you would like to see recommendations from, like, let me know, because I love diving into that type of stuff. Once I figured out my first recommendation video was going to be Rockstar Romance, like, I got super excited. I could not wait, and then I just I was like invested. I was in that era. I definitely want to do a part 2. I don't know what my next recommendation video is going to be quite yet. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Also, if you have any Rockstar recommendations, you have to put them in the comments as well, because again, we're going to be doing a part 2. So you might see some continuations from a couple of these series. You might see something different. We don't know. We don't know. But if you have any recommendations, you totally have to let me know. So that's going to be it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this recommendation video because I want to bring more to this channel. That's it. I will catch you guys on the next video. But until next time, happy reading. Bye.
You draw me in slowly.